humans, worship your Lord. And we're going to talk about what's the meaning of worship. And Lord, worship your Lord, the one who created you and created those who came before you, so that you may protect yourselves. That's it. Allah is saying. And, I mean, look at this. It is called nida in Arabic, calling someone. Ya ayyuhan nas, O humans. Allah is being direct. He's not even saying, Ya Muhammad, qul. He's not saying qul. He's not saying to the Prophet, say to them. No, Allah is speaking to humanity, Ya ayyuhan nas. O humanity, O humans. U'budu rabbakum, worship your Lord. Lord means Rabb, right? What does Rabb mean? He originated you. He brought you from non-existence into existence. He created you. You were nothing. You were nothing. His word brought you into existence. His intention brought you here. Okay. So He brought you into existence, created you. He shaped you, fashioned you. He sustains you, provides for you, He feeds you. And He created the whole universe in a way that feeds you and keeps you alive. All of that is designed for you. All of that, that's what Rabb means. He's designed all of that perfectly for you to be able to live this lifetime. And it also means He is in charge. He has power. He can do what He wants. He can do what He wants. He's the one who created you, not only you, because you might say, oh, my parents created me. Right? Some people say, where did you come from? From my parents. A blessed union, right? They didn't create you, they were a vehicle through which you came. But Allah is saying, الَّذِي خَلَقَكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. He's the one who created you and the ones who came before. Your parents, and their parents, and their parents. So you want to say, my parents created me. Okay, who created your parents? Their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents. Until when? You're going to come to a point where who created the first human? Where did the first human come from? Even somebody, some of those are going to say, oh, evolution. Humans were apes and then so on and so forth, and mutation and natural selection, and they came to be this, first Homo sapiens, then they became humans, etc., right? Okay, we don't subscribe to this, but let's assume this is right. Okay. The creatures the species that humans came from, what they were before, something else. Okay, the first creature, where did that come from? Science has not solved that, and it's not going to solve it. There's no way it's going to solve it. How the first creature came to existence, there's no science about that. First, because even in their estimation, they claim it's billions of years back, 300 billion back. How can you even know about that? That's all theory. That's all hypothesis. That's all, right? So Allah is saying He's the one who created you, and the ones who came before you. So you searching for the origin, it's Allah. That's it. He brought it into existence. So don't waste your time trying to figure out this and that's all. It's not going to get you anywhere because you don't have access to that. Allah is telling you that's where you came from. You came from Him. الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم was لعلكم تتقون, so that you may protect yourselves. Protect yourselves from what? From falsehood, from evil, from the hellfire. That's it. Allah is saying, you want happiness, you want protection from the hellfire, that's the way for you. It's easy. It's easy, straightforward. Now, and that's my final point, and it's the most important point ever. And we said that previously. We talked about it, but I want to emphasize it more and more. Worship. Because when you say worship, people think, okay, just praying, fasting, giving zakah, etc. That's worship. No, these are acts of worship. These are a'mal ta'abudiyya, acts of worship. These are acts. What is worship? What does it mean? And we said previously, it means love. You love your source of being. You love where you came from. You love Allah, your Creator. And we're born with this love, by the way. We are born with this love. And that's why humans, by the way, do you know what motivates humans to search where they came from? What their origin is? It's fitrah, natural. We are naturally designed, inclined to find out where we came from and love our source of being. We know. So we all love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what Allah is saying, all He wants from us in this life is to recognize Him, worship Him in the sense that recognize Him, know Him, love Him back. Love Him back. And it's not obnoxious love. It's love that comes with a sense of responsibility. What's the sense of responsibility? Live upright in this life. Follow a straight way of life. Taqwa. Follow a straight way of life. Because if you truly love Allah, you truly recognize Him and love Him, do you know what happens? Straight away, the best in you comes out. What's the best in you? Ethics, principles, justice, respect, compassion, kindness, equality, generosity. All these natural things within us, they come when you recognize Allah. When you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they come out. And thus, when you pray is an expression of love, by the way. Literally. Prayer is an expression of love. Loving what? Loving Allah. You're saying to Allah, I love you. How do you say it? Physically. You say it as a state. You don't just say it in words. Literally, you're praying Allah, it means, oh Allah, I love you. I want you. I want to go back to you. And that's, you know why? By the way, the best thing people in paradise are going to get is what? Being able to meet Allah. Why? Because we love Allah. When you meet who you love, that's when you experience this sweetness. That's it. And this love is mixed with fear. Because we know Allah is severe in punishment. That's truly what worshiping Allah means. That's the message of the Quran. So what Allah is saying, oh humanity, live this life, okay, in a state of love of Allah and a sense of indebtedness to Allah, thankfulness to Allah. That's it. And how do you do that? The Quran is going to tell you exactly how to do it in details. And the Prophet ﷺ will describe to you. And it's all natural. You don't have to fake things up. You don't have to make things up. You don't have to... It's so natural. It's what you are designed to do naturally. The Quran, only what it does, it's rain. What does it do? It causes you, the seed of your fitrah to flourish, grow and flourish and give fruits. That's all what the Quran does. Literally. And then it gives you light, specifically in your specific situation, is going to teach you what is right and what's wrong, so you can avoid the wrong and do the right thing. That's it. And that's the message of the Quran. So, I'm going to stop here. I was going to go a little bit further, but it would be a bit too much. So, again, to summarize, he said the Quran started in Surah Al-Baqarah by dividing people into three types based on their response to Allah. Those who accept the message of Allah and worship Allah, those are the believers, they will be successful. Those who reject the truth, they are the non-believers. And third type are non-believers who reject the truth, but they decide to pretend that they are believers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us an example of how the hypocrites, those are the who pretend to be believers, how they deal with the Quran. And he said Allah gave two analogies for the Quran, two parables. Light, which comes from the fire, light, and life. So what the Quran does, it revives your heart and it gives you knowledge and clarity, so you know where to go and what to do. And it gives you the life, which gives you the energy to keep going. Literally, that's it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now, after this, Allah gives us the message of the Quran, direct message, and He speaks directly to humanity. He says, "O you, O humanity, O humans, worship your Lord who created you." Who created you. And the reason why we worship Allah, because He is Rabb. Because He is Rabb. That's it. So the reason, logical reason why Allah has the right to be worshipped, because He's the only Rabb. If there was another Rabb, there would be two people, two to worship. So uluhiyya is built on rububiyyah. Worship is built on lordship. We only worship the Almighty, the Creator, the Originator, who has power and dominance over everything. That's what we worship as humans. So this is why we don't worship peers, we don't worship graves, right? We don't call upon righteous people who are dead in their graves and say, nah, we call upon Allah, only Allah. We worship only Allah. We don't even worship the Prophet ﷺ. We don't worship him. Okay? We don't worship angels. We don't worship Jibreel alayhi salam. We worship only Allah. But we love Jibreel and we love the Prophet ﷺ because we love Allah. Because Allah loves them and Allah sent them to guide humanity. And that's it. Even our teachers, shuyukh, no matter how great they are, we don't worship them. We don't worship them. We only worship Allah. What we learn from them. Okay? So inshallah, we'll stop here with the most important message, which is the core message of the Quran. And next week, we're going to go a little bit faster now. We've established some kind of a rhythm, some things. And inshallah, we're going to go a little bit faster in the next few sessions. We can take a couple of questions if there is any. Any questions?
So what about the names of surahs? Have they been also revealed by the Allah? Name of surahs?
Yeah.
So is it part of the revelations, the name given to the surahs?
So yes, the names of the surahs, the companions learned them from the Prophet ﷺ. But many of the surahs don't have just one name. And sometimes, and this was based on at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes the companions would say something, call a surah something, like Surah Tabaraka. Okay, the Surah Al-Mulk, it's called Surah Al-Mulk. But they said that and the Prophet ﷺ approved it, so it was okay. It was okay. The Prophet ﷺ referred to many other surahs in different ways. So he refers to Surah Al-Isra, for example. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it was mainly referred to as Surah Bani Israel. It wasn't known as very much as Surah Al-Isra, right? So yes, so the names were either given from the Prophet ﷺ or approved by the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah.
So why this Al-Baqarah? What is the reason that the name is given Al-Baqarah?
That's actually a very good question. I was coming to that. Because once we reach the story of Al-Baqarah, we will mention why call a whole surah based on one story, small story in it. Because it's the main theme. It's the main theme. Because now, by the way, I'm glad you asked this now here. Everything in Surah Al-Baqarah from now on is going to be based on this verse. O humanity, worship your Lord who created you and those who came before you, so that you may be protected. Everything in Surah Al-Baqarah is an extension from this verse. Why? It shows people how they respond to this message. It shows how to implement this message in details sometimes. It shows how the believers respond to this message. It shows how those who refuse to respond to this, how Allah treats them, and so on and so forth. And Surah Al-Baqarah has to do with this verse, worship of Allah. Yeah. Any other question? Well, yeah. No questions? Okay. Question? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, speak up. Speak up, speak up. What?
Trick or treat is haram.
What?
Halloween trick or treat is haram.
I would say don't do it. My advice, don't do it. Yeah. There are things, by the way, just to let you know, guys. I know some people are fond of saying halal and haram, but by the way, if you look at the scholars of the early times, they would run away from saying halal or haram. Like if you read, for example, Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, or Imam Malik again, and even Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal a lot, like specifically Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, that was very known about him. A lot of his fatawa, he would say, akrahuhu, ahabbu ilayya. He would say, oh, I love this thing. Someone asked him, is this halal or haram? He says, oh, I like it. Someone says to him about something else, is this halal or haram? He says, I dislike it. I'm not asking you about whether you like it or not. So one of his students, Imam Ahmad, asked him, why do you say this? Like, why do you say, I like it or I dislike it? You don't say it's halal and haram. He says, because this is something that the Prophet never spoke about specifically. And I'm using my ijtihad, my reasoning. And when I say halal, that means Allah says halal. When I say haram, it means Allah says haram. And I don't have the courage to say that. So I'm saying my opinion. And so they were afraid of saying halal and haram about some things that the Quran and the Sunnah do not speak specifically about, by the way. So it's not a good sign that someone says halal, haram, halal, haram. No. And sometimes someone asks you about a question, sometimes you don't have to say, like, you just give them an advice. This is why when a younger daughter here, she said, what about, doing this? I said, don't do it. Give them advice. And this is something, by the way, with our kids, we don't have to be so strict with things halal and haram, halal and haram. Give them an advice to live with. Say, listen, it's better not to do it. Or, my advice, don't do it. That's it. But don't give them an impression that Islam is, for example, it's like, it's about prohibitions. You find your child's trying to do something bad. Don't tell them Allah will put you in the hellfire. No. Guide them gently out of it. Okay? Some people use the hellfire and paradise as a whip, to smack their kids with. No, don't use this. This is no good. Like sometimes mothers say, if you don't listen to me, Allah will put you in the hellfire. No, don't say that. Don't say that. Okay, that's not a good way. You teach them about Allah, that He's just out there to punish people. So be gentle with regards to these. Fine. If there's no more questions, we conclude. Jazakumullah khairan, and we see you next week. And by the way, since we're doing Surah Al-Baqarah, you guys, at least, we're not doing much. Every week we do probably around a page or even less than a page. So read what we go over. Read it. Even if you can't read Arabic, look at one of the translations and read it and just think about it. It's really good. That's the Quran. We said it's light and life. It's light and life. Light, you can get it, it's direct information, you can tell. But life, that's something you feel in your heart and you don't know how. So that's why the Quran changes hearts. So allow, your heart this exposure to the Quran. Give it this privilege. Really, it's a wonderful thing. There's nothing better.